Hi, everybody. How are you doing? Happy Wednesday. I am actually solo this morning, and we are still talking poop. Me. I'm going to be giving you guys a little bit of information, but when you jump on, say hi because as much as I love having my coffee and my quiet time, whole purpose of this was to have a chat and a coffee with everybody else. And without Dana here this morning, I feel kind of lonely. So, anyways, just when you jump on and you see this, say hello, please. Tell me what your thoughts are. I know the subject is kind of weird and it's a little bit, but it's something that is part of life and it's something that we should be talking about because and we're going to get into that in a little bit because it's important. It's an important indicator. And Dana and I always talk about listening to our bodies and seeing what, oh my goodness, my eyes are watering, and seeing and listening to what the body's trying to tell us, perhaps picking up on these little cues of information and, making sure that everything is just copacetic and running smoothly. And we do that by assessment. And this is part of what I do for a living, basically, with my nutritional assessment, is we look at and we assess different things that are going on in the body, different cues, different indicators that will tell us what's going on. So one of the big indicators that we look at that is not like a blood test or very invasive or anything like that is just to assess our bowel movements. And we say the term bowel movement, but we shorten it down to BM. So that's what I'm comfortable with saying BM. So that's what I'm gonna say today to you guys. And so today we're basically just talking about normal BMs, and then I'm going to dive into more of color variations. Yeah, so color variations are important. Again, these are all indicators towards something that might possibly be going on. And it's not something to get freaked out about. It's not something to shy away from. It's something that, again, it's part of who you are. It's part of the whole process and something that you should be monitoring on a regular basis because this is you. This is your life. This is how things are working on the inside. And a lot of times we don't want to wait until we end up having a disease diagnosis. And we don't want to have, things coming up through our skin to show us things or major issues that we have to deal with. We want to try to catch them first and dealing with them before they get really terrible. And, and this is one of the indicators is through our bowels. So if you're jumping on, let me know that you're here because like I said, I'm solo today and like I said, as much as I love having my coffee, quiet time in the morning, I also like to have people around as well too. So jump on. If you're jumping on and you're listening, say hello, please. I'd love to see. I can see your comments on where I'm at, so that's great. So like I said, today we're going to be jumping in and just understanding a little bit about our bowel movements a little bit more, normal versus abnormal. So we really look towards the consistency and the appearance of what our bowel movement looks like, our BM looks like. And we talked about constipation over the last couple of days and those indicators through the Bristol stool chart. And understanding that it varies from person to person, and even throughout the day, it can vary depending upon mood, the food you take in, the activity levels you have, the amount of water that you take in, all these different things. But you really are, trying to make sure that a normal bowel movement, a more normal BM, is going to have no pain. You should not, first of all, that's one of the big indicators. You shouldn't have any pain when you're having a bowel movement. If it is painful to pass, this is potentially along the lines of a constipation kind of system or constipation situation, but you could also be looking at towards something like an IBS or Crohn's or an ulcerative colitis as well too. And these are issues that you definitely have to get checked in at with your doctor and figure out what's going on, and work towards alleviating that. But definitely, the reason that we have bowel movements, well, it's just a part of the elimination process. We take things in, and when we have to pass them out, they come in, we use the good things, we pass out the bad things. We really are trying to just get rid of waste through our bowel movements. And this is something that, again, is very much essential for living process. We metabolize, we throw off waste. Anything, there's like the give and take of everything. So this is essentially what BMs are for. Understanding that our BMs are made of 3/4 of water, even though it might not look like that, that's essentially what it is. 3/4 of water. The rest is taken up with bacteria and fats, fiber from undigested foods, including nuts and seeds, and of course that soluble fiber that we talk about all the time that really cleans the gut. It's like the broom sweeping the gut clean, and the soluble fiber that we take in through the whole foods that we eat as well too, that slows that blood sugar uptake by the bloodstream, and gives us that nice stable blood sugar levels. Food waste, again, too. So the byproduct, the waste product of foods that have been digested and assimilated and brought into our bodies. And then, of course, some mucus and some salts as well, too. When we look towards the color of our BM, I just want to check something. When we look towards the colors of our BM, we're looking at, there's a lot of different colors that could happen. And they usually do mean a little bit something different for each thing. I mean, your bowel movements, your BMs can be anywhere from green to orange to yellow, white, black. And potentially these are all going to show a lot of different colors as well, too. I mean, have a lot of different meanings as a result. Most of the time, our BMs are going to be a brownish color. That would be what we kind of show as being normal color. And this is a result of what you eat and how much bile is in your stool. So bile is actually the fluid that your liver produces, and it's stored in the gallbladder. So the liver produces bile, and the bile is used to help to digest fats. And it actually starts out as being a yellowish green color, but as it goes as it goes through the body and changes and travels through the digestive system, it actually through a chemical shift, it actually changes into a brown color. When we're looking at a BM that is more of a green color, it could be like a greenish hue or even a very vivid green. Most of the time, green or greenish poop can be considered normal. You want to look at perhaps what's going on in your diet. Perhaps it's some supplements that you're taking in. Green vegetables like kale and spinach sometimes can change depending upon how much you're eating. You might be eating a lot. Might change the hue of your BMs. Food coloring, green food coloring can actually change the color as well too. So something that might be like in a drink or an ice pop or something like that. And sometimes iron supplements. Now, iron supplements can go either way. They can, depending upon perhaps, I'm not even quite sure, but they can go towards the green hue or they can go more towards even a blackish hue. So when we having more of a greenish BM, this again, if it's going along with diarrhea, perhaps, then it might be the color of the food may not be to blame, but it could be that the meal moved through too quickly through your bowels, and so the fat digesting bile didn't get a chance to turn green. So if you're having diarrhea and it tends to be more of a green situation, it's just that the bile didn't have that chance to turn brown. When our BMs are yellow, They can be anywhere from a more yellowish color or tint toward instead of brown. And again, this is one of those kind of normal ones that we often see in babies that are breastfed. And I remember growing up, my grandfather never ate mustard. And I was like, what's wrong with mustard? Why don't you like mustard? Everybody likes mustard. And basically it was because he was traumatized changing babies' diapers as a young adult, I guess, or whatever, because it was the color of mustard, and he could never get into eating mustard as a result. After that, it was really kind of weird, but that's everybody who's got their own thing. Yellow poop, if your stool or your BM is more of a yellow situation and it looks greasy and smells very bad, this could be too much fat that's going on in your GI system, and this could be a sign that your body isn't digesting fat. So although yellowish is kind of still normal, definitely something that you might want to look at, especially if it lasts for a very long time. If your diet, looking towards more of a diet situation, that could be causing yellowish BMs. A person that might have celiac disease, and this is somebody that can't handle the protein called gluten, which is found in wheat and barley and rye. If you have celiac disease and eat foods that have gluten in them, then your intestines won't work properly, and so your bowel movements, your BMs, will end up being a bit of a yellowish color. And again, something that you want to really connect with your physician about. Other reasons that your BMs might be yellow, again, just the simple fact that again, not going, the transit time is not, you're not getting enough bile in your bowel movement, and it's very greasy and smelly, so you're not digesting fats at that point. If your BM is more white, pale, or clay colored, this time, sometimes the poop can have not much color at all. And when we're looking at something like that, it could be because of potential medicines that you're taking in for diarrhea. So something like a kaopectate or a Pepto-Bismol might be causing the paleness or the clay colored of the stool. Excuse me. Also, somebody that has gone through like a barium swallow, that chalky liquid, the drink that you get when you do an x-ray of the upper GI, can really, really cause a lot of that as well too. But obviously that's going to be very specific to people that are going through that process or that diagnostic. So another serious cause of lack of bile to the stool, obviously because bile gives it that brown color, is that your body that makes the liver that makes the bile and stores the gallbladder and releases it into the intestine to help digest food. But again, if all that process is not working properly and your liver maybe is not producing bile, and maybe your gallbladder isn't working properly to release it into the intestine, or maybe it's not holding it, or there could be a variation of a lot of different symptoms or situations going on within that scenario. You definitely, again, want to be looking towards your physician to get some tests done to figure out liver disease like hepatitis can keep bile from getting to the body waste. So like maybe there's a blockage in the ducts, the bile ducts, and that can happen through gallstones or a tumor, something along that lines. So again, being very aware and very attuned to the cues that are going on. So black BMs, something, I forget the name of it. I was never good at peds. Macromium? I don't know. But newborn babies have that black BMs in the first couple of days after they're born. Otherwise, once they start eating, they have very... it changes colors depending upon what they're being fed at that time. If they're going towards breast milk, it's going to be more of a yellowish. If they're going towards bottle fed, then it's going to be maybe more of a normal brownish color. Otherwise, dark or black BMs are kind of not the normal, and this is something that is, you know, potentially a sign of something a little bit more serious, perhaps some bleeding in the upper GI or the digestive tract, and these are things that you definitely should be seeing your doctor about. Diet causing black poop, potentially black licorice. If you've eaten a pile of black licorice, blueberries or even iron supplements will actually give you, again, that black hue to the BMs. And to keep that in mind, if you all of a sudden see that there's some blackness or a black tint to your BMs, go through in your head what you've eaten in the last little while, and understanding that that could be the issue before, you know, starting to panic and heading to the doctors. Medicines, again, the kaopectate and the Pepto-Bismol can actually cause dark stools as well too. But some other issues with regards to dark stools can be a little bit more health related, and something you definitely have to talk to your doctor about is potentially bleeding from the stomach or stomach ulcers, because when it's all in the upper GI, you're getting, it stays in the gut for a while, so it gets really dark. And, you know, this is where we get a lot of the dark colors as well too. So bleeding sores in the esophagus and you know, potentially from acid reflux, this could be an issue as well too. Bleeding from non-cancerous tumors of the upper GI tract, and potentially even just cancer in the gut. And of course, if this has been going on for a very long time, you're not eating blueberries and licorice, or you're not taking a lot of kaopectate or iron supplements, definitely get yourself checked into the doctor and see what's going on and see what the issue is to rule out this stuff. So reddish or red poop, this is something, again, that we see a lot of times with food and diet. So beets, tomato soup, gelatin desserts like a red Jello, and red drinks can all change the color of your stool, pink to reddish, and give you kind of maybe a little bit of concern. But again, remember what you've eaten in the last 24 to 48 hours and understand how fast things travel through your gut. And yesterday I mentioned this is one of the tests that we do to see how fast the transit time is through your gut, is to eat a plate of beets and then, you know, see the time length it takes to get through your gut, because beets will really be a big indicator and show a lot of red in your stool. And that way we can time how fast the motility is through your gut. Other causes for red or reddish BMs, again, these are all going to be instances where you're going to want to talk to your doctor and get some proper tests done. And that is perhaps non-cancerous tumors, or specifically cancer, inflammation of the colon like colitis, growths called polyps that are, you know, they adhere into the wall of the colon, and conditions called caused by small sacs in the side of the colon. I can never answer this one. Diverticulitis, diverticular disease. This is something that, again, is very it is prominent, and I see it quite often. And another one is hemorrhoids. So again, if you have hemorrhoids that are bleeding, you're going to see that bright red color, perhaps streaked through a normal brown colored stool. So understanding these different variations, but of course, always talking to your doctor when it comes to stuff like this. If you're pretty sure that you've ruled out all the food options that could have caused the color. Orange poop. So orange BMs can be, you know, interesting. And I had a friend that their mother told me that they went through a phase as a toddler of eating carrots, like bags of carrots, like when the baby carrots came out when we were younger. And this child would eat carrots and eat carrots and eat carrots. And not only did their stool become quite orange, almost fluorescent, but their skin started to change as well too. Being a Caucasian, he was very fair-skinned, and shifted the color of his skin as well too. But understanding this is a beta carotene, and it can actually cause your stools, your BM, to change a little bit of color towards more of an orange situation. But you have to be eating quite a bit of it. I mean, and it's not a bad thing, because obviously beta carotene is so incredible for you, and we need it for so many great things. Vitamin A is a healing vitamin, and but again, it's going to give you that, potentially give you that issue as well too. So the beta carotene in carrots, winter squash, pumpkins, sweet potatoes, a lot of these different things are going to potentially, depending upon how much you eat, going to cause a little bit of a shift in the color. And then of course orange coloring, which hopefully you're staying away from additives and food colorings and different things like that. But in pop, candy, Jello, these things can shift the color as well too. Other causes of orange BMs, it's kind of rare, but there could be liver issues that you might be experiencing, causing less bile to be produced, perhaps a blockage again. And again, something that you're going to be looking towards this, maybe more of a pale or a clay-colored stool as opposed to the orange, but something definitely to, connect with your doctor again. So these are all kind of issues that stem from different colors of bowel and our bowel movements. And again, something to really be aware of, because we are constantly assessing our body and looking and trying to figure out what is going on, and hopefully keep that diagnosis away by, getting things in touch and getting ahead of things before they get too terrible. So that's pretty much it for today. We will continue our talk about bowel movements, and I'm just looking for my list here, and stools, and I'm going through our Bristol chart again tomorrow as we look towards more of a loose stool, and try to figure out the indicators and potentially the reasons why, and then how to alleviate that as well too. So have a wonderful day, guys, and we will talk tomorrow.